Fiona down in Cork. But between us, we've managed to sell over 400 units last year. In the last 5 years, we've cleared over 2,000. We've done over $1 billion worth of sales. It's working well, thank God.
Hats off to you. You have really, really nailed home. I know you've taken a kick in the teeth by a lot of people. That's why I love to bring you in, because that's what, I've taken the kicks in the teeth as well. Yeah. And when someone is giving a bit of a kick in there, you're creating.
You're doing something right.
You're doing something right. And I mean, if you've done over $1 billion of sales, you're really, really specializing in what you do. All right, legends, welcome back to this episode, Platinum's podcast. We call it a Platinum's business podcast to make it official and to make it really, really interesting. Now, today, I'm going to bring you what you've asked me to bring you. You asked me to bring in someone that's in the field of an auctioneer so you guys and girls can learn how to approach them. So I reached over to my good friends in Auctioneera and I've asked them to send me in their best. And they've
you'll have to make do with me.
They've put this man forward, so we're gonna give him a good run tonight, and hopefully with tonight's bit of a business chat that you can get so much knowledge out of this, and you can re-listen to it. And when you're approaching an agent, you know how to approach them, and you can build a set of skill set. Rob from Auctioneera, very, very welcome in.
Thank you, Paul. You're very good to have us in. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, well, look, they had to give me a bit of a script, so I'm going to try and make an attempt to read this script. This is your career in one box, and it gives the guys and girls listening in a bit of a chance to know you, because I know what's going to happen, which happens in all businesses, and it's probably how me and you met as well, is once someone gets to know you, they get to like you, they do business with you. So here we go. Rob is currently a director in Auctioneera, specialising in the residential sales. Exactly what we want. He began his property career after graduating in the Masters in Real Estate from the DIT in 2016. From there, Robert went on to the commercial real estate. We'll probably ask you a bit about that today as well, because we haven't got too many experts in on that, which exposed him to all aspects of the property market. His experience, and he is well experienced and well respected as an agent in the industry, on owning his integrity and his market knowledge. He's easy on the eye and he's a bit of crack, and I'll be able to vouch for that. Rob, welcome in.
Thank you. You're very good.
Lovely stuff.
Yeah, ChatGPT doesn't lie. So.
Oh yeah, we've heard a lot about ChatGPT over the last while. Anyway, all right, let's get down to a bit of business. Thanks a million for giving up your time and dropping into us today. We hear a lot about auctions and Auctioneera and all these different people trying to set up practices and run around with for sale signs, and you see loads of new little names coming into the market. Auctioneera, in my eyes, is very, very unique. I think they've smashed the market. I remember talking to your colleague Helen probably a couple of years ago now, when they first started launching out and really slashing sales down, and I thought, this is brilliant. This is gonna, the old school Auctioneera, it's really gonna change the market. And now, fast forward, even from this year, from last year, he's really smashed things, really making an impact. I was driving down through Cork the other day, and I was like, there's an Auctioneera, I want to ring it in. There's another Auctioneera sign. So it's nearly, he's hitting a lot of Dublin, a lot of Cork, Wicklow. Seen a couple of your signs over in Wicklow, Greystones.
Sure, yeah. We're out. We're trying to cover as much of the area as possible. It's where the business is. We go for the most part. We're Dublin, Wicklow, Kildare, up into Louth. So we stretch it. And Cork is a big, a big hub for us as well. It's where the HQ is. It's where it started out. The dream. And yeah, it's going very well down there. My colleague down there, Fiona, she's been running it for quite some time now. So it's going the right direction, thank God.
You've gone from strength to strength.
Yeah, for sure. When we started, as I say, started around 2018. Eddie and Helen are the two other directors, and their brainchild really was born out of frustration within the kind of the antiquated way of of doing estate agency, the kind of the cloak and dagger that goes on in the background, but also the costs associated with it, the lack of kind of adaptation to technology. So it kind of was born really from that. And it's just, as you say, went from strength to strength. Kind of when I started out, I think a lot of feedback from agencies was, it'll never catch on, this online system.
Oh, it's caught on, all right.
Kind of thing. So yeah, the way we look at it is, imitation is the best form of flattery. So when you see other agencies now kind of getting on board with online systems and things, it kind of gives credence to why you did it. But the difference between, I suppose, ourselves and them is the rates that are charged. Well, the way we operate it is it's all in-house built, so we keep our costs down. We streamline everything really in the background, so as you're not paying any extra licensing fees for using other people's software and things like that. And obviously, agents have to pass those costs down to their vendors, to their clients. So because we do it all in-house, we're able to keep our costs low. And, everything is means that from the vendor's point of view, from the client's point of view, they're maximizing their return on their properties.
Yeah. And look, most people are selling the properties. All they want is value. They want the highest price and they want the lowest fees. And I think that's consumers' choice if that's what they want and that's what you're given. And hats off. And I mean, really what you have done is you've gone in and nearly slashed, like we've paid a lot of fees, which I was talking to you earlier on. Over the last few months, we have paid a lot of fees to a lot of good agents. I'm not going to knock them. They are very good at what they do. But the fees, when you look at it as a business, we obviously have got big outlays to fees, and we're always trying to look at new ways. Again, we might knock into the way you price stuff later on. But I mean, let's just take it back to last year. I mean, we always get this in business where, some business is trying to come up the ladder, and of course you get all the bigger business sticking the boot in. And I've had it so many times I don't even pay attention to any of it, because if you're even annoying them, it means you're doing business. And you guys last year probably had a bit of a record year. You smashed a lot of sales last year and got a lot of deals done.
I mean, thankfully, it's gone from strength to strength. When Auctioneera started out, sort of 2018 up in Dublin 2019, it was, very much a fledgling new kind of technology, new way of doing things. And then obviously COVID hit, which was a big dampener on the trying to sell anything. But by the way we operate with the online systems, we were able to continue to work throughout COVID. So, we were able to still do obviously one-on-one viewings and things like that, but people were still able to come to market. And then throughout COVID, everybody was pushed into the online realm, really. People who never thought they'd ever buy something online, let alone a house, were kind of pushed into that bracket. So it became, it helped. And if you have to draw any positives from that period of time, it really did help everybody embrace the technological side of things and get involved that way. And then this is now, we feel that we're leading the way in terms of private treaty sales, the way we do this, the way we run the process with the fixed fee. Obviously, it's a no sale, no fee as well. We also run deadlines. And we've now been doing that years and years, and there's not any other estate agency that can say that.
Yeah. And as well, talking to other estate agencies, which never really liked me for a lot of years. They like me now a little bit.
Oh, God. Why,
I don't know why.
What? That's ridiculous. I don't believe it for a second.
I know. It's shocking. I can't believe it myself at times. But anyway, we're starting to repair them relationships. But again, they would have always said, oh, no, estate agencies is a personal touch. It is a personal touch, but it's also a business. And I think what's going to happen to a lot of older practice estate agencies, if they don't come up at the times where bringing in hidden platforms and bringing in, systems in behind the scene, you're just going to wear yourself into the ground. You're not going to be able to scale. There's no systems in there to scale. You guys clearly have everything in place in behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the nail on the head. You have to adapt to changing markets and changing technologies. And if you have kind of, as you guys as well, like you build it up from a level, so as you can continue to grow with it. World now where everything is fast and instant. The kind of the old ways of doing it is more laborsome. It takes more time. Chasing people constantly for updates and phone calls and things. We automate a lot of that. We still have, as you say, the personal touch. It's hugely important. for vendors and purchasers to know that there's someone physically there doing the job and the negotiating and the back and forth and things. But there's a lot of things that in the background can be, streamlined.
Yeah.
And as you say, processes put in place. So it frees up our time to do the actual job.
Yeah.
Which means that our vendors are getting the best value for their money. Definitely, yeah. The other agencies, respect for a lot of my colleagues out there. They've, they work hard. Everybody does. It's a matter of who works smarter, not harder.
Yeah. When I look at the business, and again, that's why I run this podcast, More Business. I love to listen to the knowledge from you, and I just allow these other people to listen into our conversation.
Yeah.
That's my theory on this. That's how I can justify running them. But it's a tricky, hard business, and I mean, it's not all estate agencies or all their flashy cars. Okay, the older crew are wealthy. There is no doubt about it. They've sold some smashing properties. They've made some really good money. But times are changing. But it when I'm buying something off yourselves, or I'm buying off another agency, it's a hard business, because I could get involved after a sale goes down 4 or 5 times. And I'm like looking at you, and I could be saying, Rob, how, and you're like, well, that's just sales. And I'm like, fucking hell, man, you physically don't get paid until this thing is closed. And I've been in so many different transactions that we've got it right to the end, and legals, which probably talk about later on, or surveyors for you guys, put in a showstopper. And you have worked so hard to get that from getting it online, getting all the viewings in, meeting all the people, dealing with all the bullshit, getting the bids in, getting the sales in, getting the customer happy, and then right at the end of the sale, something gives in. How do you deal with them type of setbacks as an agency and keep a straight level headed without exploding? Yeah,
I mean, nail on the head again. It's kind of part of the process. We get used to it. You have to have a bit of thick skin when it comes to it sometimes. But from the vendor's point of view, they're selling their home, their house. It happens. It can be devastating. So you have to be able to be, every time it happens, respond the correct way to make sure that, your clients are looked after in the process, and you do everything you can to shield them from something like that. But sometimes, it can fall through for a multitude of reasons. As you say, it can be down to, if it's down to title or something, there's not a huge amount we can do or someone could have done. But if it's, the small other things, a survey comes in with something that can be fixed, or we can work around it, or if there's issues with, sometimes a lot of people at the moment are, trying to sell to buy. So, there can be hiccups in their sales that cause things to fall through. And other times people just walk away. So you have to be able to kind of adapt to that when it happens. You have to be able to pick your clients back up as well and say, look, we're ready to go again, and have everything ready to go. In the background, we always reach out to people. You try and minimize the fallout from it.
Yeah.
For the client's perspective, because as I say, often they've, yourself, when you get a property and as offers come in and you go sale agreed, you start spending it in your head.
100%. Yeah. So, no, you're dead right there.
You could be 2 months, 3 months into it, waiting for it to close, and then at the last hurdle it falls down. So, throughout that process, it's our job. Property is very much the way I see it. It's not bricks and mortar; it's people. Every person's reason for selling is different. Every purchaser's reason for buying is different. You can whitewash it, but for the most part, it's everybody's has a story behind what they're doing it for and why they're doing it, and you have to be able to tap into that and manage your clients through it and help them out throughout the process. So it's a management process rather than pick up a board and away you go.
Yeah.
It's a whole big thing on the other side. So when things do fall, as you say, sometimes 2, 3, God help us, even a 4th.
I've had one. I've had one yesterday, which is a 4th, and I'm like, it's terrible. That agent, that is a terrible agent you have there. Thank you very much. And then I now I shouldn't be doing this. Well, I can sort of cash you out quickly. But anyway, that's why the agents didn't like me.
Yeah. But there's.
We are delighted to announce that this podcast is sponsored by Platinum Ventures. Platinum Ventures, we buy houses fast.
Hi Dublin homeowners, are you struggling to sell your property fast in the open market? Or maybe that deal has collapsed? Okay, if you're facing this type of a problem, we have the perfect solution for you. Welcome to Platinum Ventures. We buy houses fast. Any property, any condition. We close out them deals within 28 days. Cut out the stress of having endless viewings and having to pump money into property only to sell it. We are not estate agents, and therefore you will pay zero agent fees. Visit platinumventures.ie today. Platinum Ventures, we buy houses fast.
You know, there's an expression, there's a time to do a deal.
Exactly.
You know, and I think that's very important. It was in the commercial realm previously, and that was very much the mantra. Get deals done. When it comes to the mom and pop stuff, as we call it, a lot of the time, you know, your family home, things like that, there's a lot more invested emotionally in things, and people have, you know, sometimes they only buy or sell a house once, maybe twice in their life. So
yeah, that's the thing.
You know, it's a big undertaking for individuals.
So just pull me through the process. Just for the people that are listening in, because I try and give as much value as I can. So what I want to try and do is take Auctioneera as model as such. Me and my wife decide that we're now going to sell up this beautiful property here in Belgrave Avenue on the back of the screen there. I give Auctioneera a ring.
Yeah.
I ring into your office. I always get this beautiful woman that always answers within 3 calls.
Yeah. Oh, she's
ring. I know she's answering on the third. Yeah, like Auctioneera always answer. With some other agencies, they will not answer. They will not return your call.
Yeah.
That woman really does. And I think, would I be right in saying you've got one other guy? Is it?
So yeah, there's a few, but Catherine's predominantly the face on the face on the phone, the voice on the phone.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, you know, we do give her the weekends sometimes. And things, you know, the odd holiday. But
Catherine, if you're listening in, you're not getting any more time off. You've now been promoted to 24.
But yeah, for sure, you know, it's
and you will get like a follow up within a minute of her call. It's not like if I need to speak to, say, you, or I need to speak to Helen, or I need to speak to someone else in the team, I'll get like a call. It's a different number, and there's an arrangement set up for the time that box my needs off. And
it's a, you know, as you said there, like it's kind of communication is one of the biggest downfalls within agency and property. I genuinely think there's so many moving parts and people that things can fall between the cracks. So between solicitors and surveyors and valuers and agents and vendors and purchasers, you know, so from our point of view, we do everything to minimize that from happening. So we have a 24-hour return policy on everything.
Right.
Phone calls, emails, everything that has to be responded to. And
good news or bad news.
Yeah. And that's it. You know, when we push, you know, that doesn't, for whatever reason, come to fruition, you know, we still just make a phone call and say, I don't have an update. Even that as an update is an update. So it just keeps things, everybody, you know, as I say, it's a stressful process, buying and selling. So
100%.
Keep people. But when you ring through, as you say, you know, if Catherine gets you and kind of takes your details, first off, she'll book in a free valuation.
Yeah.
So we'll, after that, she'll kind of assign it to Elf or Lee or Brendan or Fiona.
Just shout out to Lee. I met Lee as well.
Yeah, he's
a local talent man.
He is. He's
sharp.
Blazing a trail.
He's going to be a good agent.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
He's well able to deal.
Running the shop out in his offices are based out kind of Santry, so he looks after sort of North Dublin and up into that kind of area. Brendan's out.
Then we take him back to Tallaght,
and then he comes back in the evening for a respite. Yeah.
So property comes in, Catherine deals the call. She'll like sign it over to whoever the agent is. The revaluation takes place. You go out then. You obviously put your best foot forward. You get the listing. Great.
Happy days.
Then the really impressive part that I love about it, and we only get to see the front side of the system. Obviously, you've got all these systems like Catherine and all in behind, and the phone calls and all these different things, which is the massive advantage against other agents. The setup online is just priceless. Like, it's so clean, it's so tidy. You have to have a really, really good photographer that has never moved from you, because it's the exact same pictures, the exact same property. He does an outstanding job. His camera lens is always crystal clear. The photos that he does really, really pinpoint that sale for the property. In my eyes, he nails it.
Yeah, to be honest, we use two really, but they've been with us for years now. Gary and Tom, and they're super. The way we operate is sometimes you'll see on site. I was looking at one there the other day, and you'll get, you know, so you go through photographs and you see the agent in the mirror, you know, with the flash on or something in the bathroom, or you'll see there was one that we recently saw, and you could see his feet. He'd taken a shot down the stairs, and just his feet in the bottom of it, and you're kind of going, if you're paying for a service, you provide a full professional service. So that's kind of the way we look at it. So the guys, they're excellent, as you say. They've never had.
I just think they really, really do this site proud, like really, really stand out. And it's really important that, like, especially when you hit a website for, I wouldn't have been. I'm very, very good at marketing now because that's how we build our businesses. Telling you about ones we operate earlier on. So I think this side of things is like, wow, Danny, this is really good.
Yeah,
it's really, really high class. So I'll run through a couple of clips. You probably who's I haven't even seen the price of this property, but I mean, look at the detail you get. Okay, first thing you see when you get the listing, obviously user now take it as your business. It comes into the office. So you're gonna sugarcoat that thing to the best you can. First thing goes up, beautiful picture. Then you give a full, solid description of the property.
Yeah, so like it's all about information and giving it to everybody. It's all out there really in the real world. An old colleague of mine used to say, estate agents are paid for the information they retain.
Yeah.
The reality behind it is now it's all out there through Daft and My Home and Property Price Register. So the way we see it is, put it all in one place, let everybody have access. So we make it as clean and clear as you see as possible. So people can come on, they see property type, the condition, the floor area, the BER, you can check the reports. And if you scroll up to the top, you'll be able to see the guide price, the current offer, deadlines.
Okay, so you've gone out there with your valuation, you've picked the price to say, I'm just going to relay that it's me selling it now. And I've said to you, yeah, Rob, okay, we want to try and achieve 375 and you recommend guiding it at, I don't know how it works, but I mean, you recommended a guide price of 375 to start it up.
Yeah. So actually, with the kind of stepping back a little bit before the valuation, we actually, before we even get to the property, we'll send you out a we call a market research report,
okay.
Which will give you a breakdown of similar properties in the area and what they've sold for. So by the time I get there, you already have a fairly good idea of other properties, and a lot of people will know, what the neighbors sold for, or at least have been told what the neighbors told them they sold for. But it's all, online. So we, again, correlate that and give it to you before we even get there. So as you kind of have a range and idea of, what we're working off. And it's all about comparisons, comparables.
And I'd assume agencies that are maybe going in front of you, or you may be going in front of them. I mean, is all that the buyer wants to hear is numbers. And I'm sure you guys have to really deal with expectations here. Oh, well, I can't say names. Obviously, I don't want to get myself in trouble. But such and such said, I will get 420. You're saying 375. What's that about? And you have to try and
that's it. But that's kind of, as you say, managing expectations is part of it. But it's also, it's more just being upfront. Like absolutely a strategy of old, certainly adopted as well by other agencies still is, go in high, win the business, and then work it out afterwards.
Yeah.
We very much go in with, the evidence, kind of the data that's out there that everybody can do. Everybody is a mini estate agent. You can go on property price registers, you can go on Daft and My Home, go to the websites and see what things are selling for. So if you turn up with the document going, this is what the last 10 houses in this area have sold for over the last year, or apartments, whatever it is, kind of say to your clients that this is why I'm suggesting level, given the market, the condition, what is different between yours and theirs, and as a starting point, we'd suggest X.
Yeah.
And then it just gives them a bit more, surety around where you're coming from, rather than just plucking a number out of the air. As you say, like the people do come in. I've heard of it. I've seen it. It's 700 grand. Let's start at 5.
Yeah.
Going, why start at 5 if that's the case? The way we try and operate it is you go off the data that's out there, you work at that as your starting point, and then it's our job as the agent to get you the most out of the market. Yeah,
which is fair enough. And that's why I was trying to say to younger people that are coming into property, trying to get into the property, to become a property investor. Like, look, I pissed agents off at the very start because I was going in trying to choke deals all the time. Obviously, their job, because now I give you properties to sell, is to get me the most money.
Yeah.
But again, also I think the pricing point is very, very important too, because if you get an agent that's going, let's drop this down really low and we'll get them up. To get it up to where you want to go if you drop it low is difficult. I don't care what anyone says, because I've been the person that dropped the price low thinking, I've got advice to drop it low and then watch it go up. and then really to the price that the property's worth, it struggled to get to there. Whereas if we would have taken the evidence clearly, watched it as a whole and said, okay, let's guide it here. And we don't have to get too far to get what I want, because that's what I need to get to make some money.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it goes through the roof, which probably can happen,
yeah,
great.
All the better for you. Yeah. I mean, like people, when a lot of the time when you're dealing with vendors and things, I say to them, put your purchaser hat on. You know, if you're selling, pretend you're the buyer of this house, and what's going to turn your head, what's going to, cause you to come through the door. And if, saying you want 700 for this, but next door has sold for 500. If you come on at 700 and put your purchaser hat on, you come.
Yeah.
And, so it's that kind of thing. You have to play come on at the levels and have respect for your audience, for the purchasers. They're going to do their homework. This is the biggest investment that most people make in their lives. So I've had people bring their laptops and open up spreadsheets and go through price per square meters, property sold. They're educated. They know what they're at for the most part. So the way we operate is just kind of show everybody that's the levels that are being achieved from the vendor's point of view. The idea being come to market in around that. And then, as I say, it's our job to get you the most.
So Rob, let's just jump back to this for a second, because I think before we go into price, and I think this is what really, in my eyes, where now again, stage might say to me, shouldn't be commenting on this or that. But if they're going to listen into this today, brush up, because this is what people watch it. The photography of this is perfect. It's like just an imprint of each one, clear vision of the house. So for someone looking in tonight, making their first investment, maybe with their wife, or probably having a bottle of wine, they've gone home, they viewed a property, they love the thing. Well, when they log back onto the Auctioneera site, it's like they're in the fucking property again. I don't know what he does. So again, if you're listening in here on Spotify, I know you can't see what we're talking about. Jump over to our YouTube channel where you can see all this crystal clear and live, and you'll get a rundown to the Auctioneera site. So again, this is what I really, really love about it. And I remember speaking to Helen about this, saying, Jesus, your camera quality is unbelievable. That's nearly when this big investment is taking place, or someone has their approval in principle in hand and they're trying to make their first buy, they can go back here and, like, what's the camera guy's name?
There's Tom and Gary.
So they really have smashed this, because I feel like I'm in that property now. And I think for running through this property, you obviously tell the homeowners as well, because this is, people are living in this one, but it's so clean, it's tidy. You obviously have a good chat with them. The photographer's coming, make sure we can really get the most out of this. And I think this really, really, for the Auctioneera site, it smashes it, because they can now see themselves in the bedroom. They can see themselves in the hall. They can look back if they're doing a bit of a price per square of trying to get a bathroom fixed, or they're trying to get wardrobes done. They can start to price this sitting at home, know exactly what that investment is going to look like once they buy it. And even, okay, this is an old bathroom. The fucking camera still makes it look good.
Yeah, well, that's,
so really, really hats off. Do you again, if you're going into a listing, will you walk around the property and bring the customer on a tour and say, look, let's have the back gardens like this. Do you get involved in that side of things? Or
yeah, you do kind of, as I said earlier, every property's different. Every person's reason for doing it. Sometimes people want to do as much as they can to bring it up. Other times people kind of just look, this is as is, and away you go. But we always recommend, it's like anything, on car or anything, you'll spruce it up. You do it to the best you can. I always sort of say, look, at a minimum, you want to be doing, clean lines is very important, especially from the photography point of view. So, just declutter kind of, that's the word of the day, I think. But it's, you just get rid of anything that's superfluous. And then it makes for easier photography. But, you go around the house with the vendors, point out if there's things, anything that can kind of raise a red flag for your purchasers. So, small things I always say are, make sure all your light bulbs small enough. Handles are all fixed on the doors. Nothing's kind of hanging off. Your cupboards aren't falling down. Things like that. Just small stuff. that, you know, go around the house in a day with a screwdriver and a paintbrush and touch up. You know, they're kind of the easy wins. But
and this is obviously going to, like, again, if you've got 5 or 6 people viewing this property and the 5 or 6 people want it, this is your benefit, not yours. It's their benefit to do these little things. Have the property up to the best.
For sure.
Like, again, when we're selling, I am like an absolute nightmare because I'm fix this, turn that way, make sure this is that way. And everyone's like, oh, for fuck's sake, he's so possessive. I'm like, we're getting the best value. I've put time and effort into this thing. Get everything perfect. And again...
But it is. It's kind of, you know, like people say it as well. Property is, you know, you're selling the dream. Like that's the whole thing as well. Like people are looking at it. You have young families who are looking for their home for the next 20 years. They want to be able to see themselves in it.
Yeah.
You know, so it is that side of it too. You have to kind of, you're selling your old family home or your family home or you're moving on or whatever, you know, do it up, put your purchaser's hat on. What are they looking for? You know, and that's kind of what you have to play to as a vendor. You go walking into your properties, doing viewings yourself as a vendor or as a purchaser, then, you know, that's, you have to have that hat on when you're selling. So as you know what people are expecting.
So I land there today, me and my beautiful wife decide that we want to buy this off you and we now go home. So what actually happens? Just talk me through the process now, because I see a guide price of 375. So I know I'm going there. I've been to a couple of your viewings. There's always a good stack of people there. I'm probably saying to Tara, this might go for 380. We're looking at our budgets. We're looking at our finances. Do I ring you with a price? What actually happens through the website now?
So so when you normally when people turn up for a viewing, they'll register obviously most of the time with ourselves. We run open viewings as well, so that also enables people who are speculative or playing their cards close to their chest. They can turn up at certain times on certain days. But when you come to the viewing, we go through everything with you. You know, as you know, we kind of talk through the property, obviously, and circumstance around your own purchase. If you're, you know, depending on your purchase type, if they're mortgage approval or cash or investors, and get a bit of a background on each buyer. So when you're reporting back to the vendor, then you're able to give them a whole sort of a bit of a profile on people too. But at that point, then we give out, if we're comfortable in terms of your buying ability, we give you what's called a property ID. And this links then the property directly to your account. Okay. So it means that you can hand that ID to someone else. It won't work. It'll only work for you on your property for this address. So it means that when you make an offer, and to make an offer, you do so via the system. So online, so you'll see on the website the big green make an offer button. It's very straightforward. You can log into your account, you click that button, it'll ask you for the property ID, so that number, the unique number that you get at the property.
After viewing the property?
After viewing it, exactly. And then you can put in the amount you wish to offer. Right. And that then goes live on the property straight away. Everybody's notified, registered for updates. But anybody can just come onto our website as we are now and see the top offer.
Okay, so at the moment we're seeing, so I'm looking at this one and the good thing about this is a beautiful house in Tyrrellstown, which you'll have no problem selling. But you've guided at 375. It's up 20 grand. It's not up 200 grand over. It's realistic. It's fair to the customer that's going in the purchaser trying to buy it. It hasn't gone up by an absolute fortune, but I presume something else, like people aren't going to, if you put I like the way you put a deadline on this. If I'm reading this correctly, you've deadline for offers 0. Now I know this isn't your particular sale, but you've got 0 days, 23 hours, 20 minutes and 31 seconds. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So in 23 hours, in 20 minutes and 25 seconds, what happens? You get a fucking swarm, I'd say.
Yeah, well, you can do. You know, when there's no accounting for everybody's strategy when it comes to bidding or placing offers. It's, you know, some people will wait for the last few minutes. Some people will make offers from, you know, they'll be standing in the property with me on the phone or on the laptop or just put the tablet and they just putting their offers in. So, you know, there's no exact way to do it. I generally recommend to people, look, when you know you want to make an offer, if you're in the property or if you go and you have a chat, you know, make the offer. Again, when it comes to accepting offers at the end of the process, we present top 3 offers generally to buyers. and go through them with them in terms of the person's purchase ability. So if they're, as I say, mortgage approved or cash and anything. But also then, because after every viewing, we've sent them an update, which gives them a breakdown of the people who attended, if they're repeat attendees, that kind of thing. So when it comes to the decision, you can go through your dashboard that you can log into at any point, and you can see, so
the owner is completely in full control of everything.
100%. They see everything we see, basically. So again, as going back to what I was saying, traditionally you paid agents for the information. The information, we give it to you. It's there. It's on the system. You log into your dashboard as a vendor. You see everything from all the viewings when they're lined up, how many people have attended, their repeat attendees. You'll also get a breakdown of the offers, who's making them. Won't give you, specific details on people, but it'll be, and they're first-time buyers. They have mortgage approval. They live locally. Kids in the local school. They've been out to the property twice now. They made an offer a few weeks ago after the first viewing, and they made another offer after the second viewing later. So you get a profile on everybody then who's coming, for the most part anyway. Sometimes you have 30, 40 people at a viewing. It's difficult to get everybody. But when you get down to the last few, you get, a full background on them. So it becomes decision time for yourselves as the vendor. You can go through everything with, myself or any of your agents, sort of have a full understanding of the whole picture. Perfect. So you can make an informed decision rather than just going.
So if let's say, for argument's sake, this is towards the end here now, and it's 395, and I'm like, right, Auctioneera done a fantastic job. They came in cheaper than everyone else. They marketed perfectly, got me what I want, 20 grand over. I'm delighted. And then you say to me, and I'm just throwing out a scenario because I don't know how this works. Oh, there's 3 people involved here. Number 1, the cash buyer. He's at 380. Said no to. The bidding platform has brought it up to 395, but he is first time buyer and they're mortgage approved and they have their AIP and everything should go hunky dory. And then we've got one underneath at 394 is he has to sell a property. At that point, can I say to you, okay, I'm taking the cash offer?
Yeah. And that's it. Like with private treaty sales, you can do that. Auctions are different, but with private treaty sale, which is the majority of properties sell through private treaty, as you know. So it's very much the vendor's decision. They can literally do almost whatever they want.
I know from talking to a lot of people, their phones ring quite a bit from frustration, and it's not the auctioneer's problem. It's the problem that the other property that they owned mightn't be like the one that they're buying, and it might be wrecked. Then all of a sudden, the valuer goes out and it's not valued correctly. It's that they're going over value, or there's a problem with structure, or whatever that happened, and the deal collapses. So obviously, you get a lot of these conversations behind the scene, but you give that information back to me to make a decision that I can say, yeah, good job, but I'd like this one.
I'd like to go with that one. Yeah, for sure. Information is only as good as the person giving it to you, but it's everybody in this market has to play their best foot forward, to try and secure something. So, you have these conversations with purchasers, you find out their scenarios. We don't kind of rule anybody out from sometimes you have people saying like, we're only taking cash or we're only doing this or that. You leave that to the side until you have the offers on the table, and then you make the decision. But it's the vendor's choice. And 9 times out of 10, money talks. It's the top offer.
Absolutely.
I always advise vendors, go with the offer will complete. Most likely to complete.
Now, everything to this point has been lovely, hunky dory, and this is where my business was set up. So they've come out, they've met their deadline.
Okay,
and me and Tara are like, fucking bingo, we got it. We now have a house in Tyrrellstown. Our AIP goes to the bank, legals, you step in, congratulations, blah, 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 blah. You've become an offer. We're in love again and we can see ourselves in this house. And then the real pain starts. Because now you have to get the banks involved, you have to get legals involved, and you have to get our good friends, survey boys involved. How painful is that process? Now, you guys still haven't got paid.
No, that's it.
You're on to like, okay, we've got the sale. Everything's looking good. Yeah. Now, I know most sales go through, no issue at all. But there's obviously a certain point where you can get, just when the banks get in, and these like first time buyers are great people, and they can throw an extra few bob into the equation to get the property. But when you have an AIP, it is not, you do not have the money in your hand. And that can be really, because they'll go back through you then, and they can really put stress on, people that are buying. You have to try and deal with them now again, and you have to try and get into the world. What is the most painful part for you? Is it the legals, the surveyor, or the banks?
Yes.
all three. Yeah.
It's as I say, it's part of the process. It's can't do it without any of them really. Well, you can do it without the bank actually, but as you know, the process, like, it can be legals that holds you up. The first kind of protocol, you get sale agreed. We move to sale agreed with a purchaser. The first things we do is sales advice goes out to the solicitors, and then first protocol is surveyor, and if there's a bank involved, valuer.
Yeah,
and you get them in, and it's a step-by-step process.
What would be the time frame? What's your on average? Because you guys have sold a lot of properties now. In your experience, what would be sale agreed? This drops down in this is tomorrow actually. So tomorrow this goes sale agreed. These young couple or whoever's buying are absolutely thrilled with themselves. Monday morning, one of you guys will probably contact them. Or maybe it's probably automated knowing you guys.
Yeah, a bit of both. So when that ticks out, so 8 p.m. tomorrow evening, that'll wrap up. Now, the way we do it as well is so to give everybody a chance. It's not kind of, if someone waits for 5 seconds and puts in an offer, it updates by 2 minutes. So there's always a 2-minute buffer. So it means everybody can counterbid. So it sounds terrifying, but from the vendor's point of view, it means, you're getting the absolute most out of everybody, but it's giving everybody a chance, rather than sort of people waiting for a couple of seconds and running off with it, and someone's dropped their phone and can't.
I totally understand.
But then at that point you get the sale agreed, sales advice note goes out. And then, we're on to, part of what we request from people when they're placing offers and when it's coming up to sale agreed is to provide us with surveyor details. So, we try and get ahead of that. So it's when it gets to sale agreed, if they have their surveyor details in, then we can contact them pretty much straight away, and get a surveyor out. And that's, another step in on process done. Similarly with bank valuers, if there's a bank involved, we tell them, look, you can buy your bank.
And again, the purchaser's paying for it.
And that's it. The purchaser's paying for it. So, momentum is important in the sale to keep it. And then the purchasers, obviously, they're investing into it. They're paying several €100 because of $1,000 between a surveyor and a valuer.
So now there's money gone out.
Exactly. So they're invested literally. So you have to kind of keep that rolling. But you can get surveyors can come back with all sorts of things sometimes. The banks, a valuer might come out. It might be a property that's gone, through the roof, due to the bidding, and the valuer comes out and looking at you. How did that happen? And you kind of have to have a chat with and go through. And the beauty of our system, because it's all the digital tracking of offers and things, we can kind of show them. Look, we had 30 people out. You have 12 bidders on this property, and the last 70 grand was 3 people.
You got all that data ready for them.
Exactly. And then, they do look for the comparisons. Obviously, you have to in the area. But again, in a market where everything kind of, year on year for the last 3 years is spent. There's an argument to be made for everything, even the really high ones.
Okay. So surveyor comes back and it's cosmetic. Couple of little small things. Vendor probably, because they're not dealing, I'm not trying to give them tools here to go in and fight and negotiate. But I mean, the deal is done, technically. So they come back to you and they say, well, there's a couple of small little issues here. Do you bring it back to the client? Do you just say, well,
it's a bit of both. Depends what the issue is. But if it's, if it's small things, they're saying the lights need adjusting or something, or the curtain pole needs fixing, things like that's, it's you're buying as is. If it's, fundamental problems with the property, that are being.
We are delighted to announce that this podcast is sponsored by Platinum Property Training.
Start your property education today. From simply one click of a button, you could be part of the Platinum team. We have made this so affordable for everybody in the country. If you have any interest in property, there's no reason why you shouldn't be part of the Platinum brand. We have got it all systemized. It is right in there with rookies. You can spend 4, 5, 6 to 7 months in there till you get to a certain level, and then you can step up your way through the programs, and you can really start to educate yourself. And we're here to help. We've got the best systems in the country. Click the link below, and we will see you there.
Brought to light, then it's a discussion with the vendors.
Yeah.
It depends on the price that's been achieved. It depends on the state, properties, people. So everybody's individual.
So there's always a
circumstance.
bit
So
of talk
there
in there.
can be a bit of back and forth on it, but one recently, and someone was being very cheeky purchaser, shall we say, and came back with a big list of things, but they 90% of it was cosmetic, but made it out to sound as if it was something big.
Yeah.
And
so
we're looking
it's your
for a
job to
fair
deal with that.
whack off, and literally we're going back to the underbidder.
Yeah.
You know, we're sale agreed at a level. That's what we honor. If you want to negotiate, then we have other options.
Yeah.
And that's as an agent, you can have to look at it from
You're protecting
your vendor. Yeah.
That you've been contracted to do. So surveyor out of the way, because a lot of people don't know this process buying a property. Now you're involved at the banks come out. The valuer, let's just say in the day, he goes, yeah, that's what it is. We're happy to sign off at that level. All the paperwork starts going in. Broker starts to get all their clients ready for close down. Eagles start to ignite. And this is what really can... If I ever was to give up property investing, now I have a great legal team, but if I was ever to give it up, it would be the frustration of trying to get deals closed. Not from my side, because my side, like, that's our job. We're property people. We can deal with problems, but my God, trying to get stuff back.
See Eddie and sitting in Cork now going, yes, Paul, yes.
Jesus Christ, it is very difficult.
It is, for sure. Look, it's a whole heap of red tape. Again, similar approach that we took to Auctioneera coming to the fore was because of an antiquated system. The legal process is dated hugely, back and forth, the way it operates in terms of, you know, the letters back and forth and sending original documents rather than scanned, or, you know, these things slow everything down. So it can be a very slow and laborious process. It's, as you say, though, sometimes things can crop up at the end.
Like, I mean,
as you're trying to push something through.
One we're dealing with at the moment, it's a lender that's out there. Again, I'm not going to name names, but I mean, they are extremely difficult. We've got two great legal teams. My one, definitely for sure, is a great legal team, and the girl that we're buying off, her legal team are a great legal team, because I've bought property with them before. They're super good, super quick. But the bank won't release documentation. They won't release redemption figures. It is extremely, I'll tell you, to get one piece of paperwork out of the bank, it's taken 12 weeks. Both legal teams are really frustrated, because they know that the sale has to close quickly, because there's money needed for another venture that this guy is in to do. Hence why he's selling the asset, and it's needed, and they're at the mercy of the banks. So it's not always legals. It can be the banks, and it can be titles, and so they have got a painfully slow job.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's obviously a way of speeding that up too.
There is, you know, like there always is solutions to that from solicitors when they're, for the most part, they're looking at the title and they're going through that to make the contracts, pull all the contracts together. When the banks are involved, if they have to qualify the title to the bank, if there's any issues with it, or anything they see a legal issue, they have to tell the bank. They work on their behalf, basically. So,
and they're heavily regulated too.
Hugely, yeah. So they have to. The bank is the one at the end of the day paying for the property. They're owning it, so they want to cover their bases. But the problem with it is, as you say, it takes so long for these things to go through, and often, you totally hear stories all the time of people being requested for a final document 4 or 5 times. Like, this is the last one I need from you, and you'll have your update next week, and then next week need another one. I mean,
you probably the same with me. It's everything seems to be a Friday,
Wednesday,
Friday. They forget about Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and it's always Friday at 4 o'clock.
It is, and
it's going to be Wednesday.
And it's always closings are Friday evenings at 5:30.
Yeah.
You get an email from the solicitor. Everything's closed now. Hand the keys over, and you're like,
yeah. Now, thanks.
But it is, there's a lot of moving parts within the whole process, and there's definitely ways. As I said, we were able to find fairly in the beginning, the low hanging fruit, the easy fixes to speed stuff up from a sales point of view. But the average conveyance takes about 3 months. There's nothing to stop it from taking 2 to 3 weeks. Contracts can issue, property passport, for want of a better word. If you have everything ready to go from the legal side up front before the sale starts, then contracts can be literally sitting with your solicitor. So when you get
Yeah,
sale
so
agreed, they can go out to the vendor or
that's
to the
the thing.
purchaser, and then
We've closed down in. I think one of our guys done a record deal in 3 weeks. I don't know how that happened. Right, that
Mhm.
was just two super good legal teams,
Yeah.
and they worked fast. They were two property teams, and they closed them in 3 weeks. I could not believe it. Right, it was done. I done 4 weeks. My whole career was 4 weeks, 2 days. I thought I won a trophy for that
that's
because I've done 14 months. Like
yeah,
so,
for sure.
like it's painful. But anyway, that side of the process, you obviously are trying to help that regard. Like you've got, I'm buying. I've never bought anything before in my life. They're selling. They've never sold anything before. They're relying on their legal teams. You're relying. You probably have to keep nudging each side along the way. Come on, ring your legals. Get them to get this. You're getting it in the ear from both people. I'd say.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
It's
and I'd say
but
it's abusive at times.
it can be, but again, it's born from frustration usually, that side of it, because of other things happening that they're not aware. And as I say, a big problem within the whole sales process is the communication side of it, or lack thereof. So when people don't know what's happening, that's what causes your mind to race and
Yeah.
wonder. The amount of times I've had chats with vendors who, oh, he doesn't want it, or he's messing us around or anything.
Yeah.
And you're talking to the purchaser on the other side, and they really want it, and they're doing everything they can. But there's other things involved, the legals or the banks or whatever, and that's holding it up. So you have to kind of, as I said before, it's a management process. It's a people business. It's not just the board up on the wall and away you go and you get a figure. It's the rest of it. The actual the hard work really starts when it comes to when issues are brought to the fore. And a lot of the times vendors don't know. As I say, they might be 20 years in their property, 30 years. It's the family home, and over the time maybe they did out an attic, or or put on a bit of an extension over the garage or something like that, and didn't really pay too much heed for it. And now they're selling it, and the solicitor's looking for certificates of compliance and things, and they're going, "What's going on?
Yeah.
What's that?" So again, from our point of view, when we get in, and this is kind of this again idea back to the property passport, is you get all that ahead of time. You go into the idea with the vendors beforehand.
You're trying to
kind of say, look,
get everything.
You need this, and close your sale.
I was telling you inside a guy in Cork as well. That's when I was driving around seeing your signs. I was like, "Oh, the lads are everywhere." But
for sure.
He literally, this guy has bought and sold a few properties where he would probably listening to this podcast. We just literally struck a deal with him today, and I said, "Now, can you get the?" He goes, "Listen, chap, you're a kiddo," and I was like, "What?" And he goes, "I have that ready, this ready, that ready." I was like, "Oh, I might just break the record of 3 weeks." I'm like, fuck, this guy is sharp.
Yeah.
He is everything. Like, it would be a great world if that happened. And his legal team has everything. She emailed us 20 minutes after we agreed. I was like, this could be a record. I'm telling my legal team, this is one of them fast ones. Be prepared.
Get it on. Yeah, quick.
But obviously your job is to try and speed that process up and get the deal done, closed, get people in their homes is what they want. And I'm from me being a property investor too, and obviously dealing with a lot of agents and all the fighting, and not that it doesn't always happen, but there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, and then you get that phone call, Rob, give Paul the keys, done.
Yeah,
like what the fuck was that all about? Like why would I was all that? You get your commission, you go to your next sale, and we get a set of keys, and we get to do whatever we want, and just all the madness has stopped.
Yeah, it is. Like there's always one way or another it ends. 99% of the time it's with happy people because they have their keys, and happy vendors because the cash is in the bank. So, and that's kind of the big plus that gets you sort of through it, if you will, when you're doing it. And it can be hard on the agents.
It's clearly
as well,
what has taken you guys from just popping up out of nowhere to probably one of the leading brands out there at the moment.
Yeah, I mean,
you've cleared out a lot of sales.
We have, for sure. 3 of us based up here in Dublin at the moment, agents wise, but we have a hefty support team, and said Fiona down in Cork. But between us, we've managed to sell over 400 units last year. In the last 5 years, we've cleared over 2,000.
Shit.
We've done over $1 billion worth of sales. It's working well, thank God.
hats off to you. You have a really, really nailed home. I know you've taken a kick in the teeth by a lot of people. That's why I love to bring you in, because that's what I've taken the kicks in the teeth as well. And when someone is giving a bit of a kick in there, you're creating,
you're doing something right.
You're doing something right. And I mean, if you've done over $1 billion of sales, you're really, really specializing in what you do. And what a great platform to sell a property on, and you've got a great setup, completely, really systemized to the best it can be. Can we give a little insight of maybe you don't have to if you want to, but I mean, what is a typical fee now? I know when you did start out, you really, really like smash this thing with the Ryanair model, the Emirates service, because it's clearly here, the service, and you drop the prices right down. Obviously, I've done the same in my own business. I've slashed prices down. When I see other training companies that set up, I'm like, okay, fine, no bother. Let's just cut everything down low, see what happens, and it works because we give the service behind it. So, are we able, like, what's a typical house that you're selling now? Up to 300,000 is coming in around 2,495 flat fee.
Yeah, so we're fixed fee. We're no sale, no fee. So there's a range on it, but from the starting point is 2,495 plus VAT. So that's up to 300,000, and it's 2,995.
Yeah, because I jotted these down because I knew there was I would forget it myself. 2,995 up to from 300 to 500k. Yeah. Now, stuff that I'm buying and selling, my sweet point is like 250 to 500. So look, there are houses too. But again, if I just take that point of 2,995 and I got a price off an agent of 1.75, so they are creeping there, probably have to put their fees back up. But let's just take a fee of 2%. So 2% of 500,000, 10 grand, plus the vodka, the apple, and the tonic. That's 12,030 euro, if I'm correct. All in.
Yeah.
And you're saying you're 2,995 plus 23% VAT.
Plus the 23, yeah. So it's, but like when you say there, if the other agents are coming in at around the 2% mark, that's their fee. Yeah. So there's marketing on top of that. And then there's VAT on all that. So ours is inclusive of it all.
And who's paying for these photos on that website?
Who pay? The vendors pay, but it's included in that. So
it's included in the 2,995. Yeah. So you're not charging me another 400 quid to take photos.
No. We don't charge per photo or anything. It's the full spread, as you see. So it's not kind of, you can have a package of this and what it'll cost you. This is the cost of selling the property, and that's it.
So for 3 grand up to 500k. Now, if I was you, and if I was, I can't even say if I was your boss because you are the boss now. But if I was the boss, I'd be like, get that fucking thing over 500.
Yeah, push it. But like that's,
you'd be nearly giving the owner the extra. I'm only joking.
But like, no, look, it is. It's sort of an incentivized structure as well from an agent's point of view. We used to get a lot from pushback from other agencies. When you go to valuations, often people will have others there, or you kind of competitors will come and do valuation things. And one of the kickbacks that they would say would be, well, like, we, Auctioneera, aren't percentage driven, so why are we incentivized to get the most out of the market? So, with a structure like that, we are incentivized. But the reality behind it is, as you know, with any business, like you want to grow, you want to be successful, and the
boards breed boards.
Well, that's it, and it's not the agent, on the other side when you break down what they actually get in commission on top of the sale. If they are charging 2% for the fee, that agent is getting 10%, maybe 7% of that 2%. It breaks right back down. So for every 1,000 extra that they could get, they only get about 10, 15 euro.
Yeah.
So it's not actually that big an incentive when you break it down. It sounds great, but it's not.
But for someone selling that may be selling because they need the money. I mean, if you sell a £500,000 house and someone's getting quoted at 2%, my quick maths on it is that's 10 grand fee.
Yeah.
Plus, let's just take out the VAT because that has to be paid either way. It's 10,000 plus your photos, plus if there's any other little things popped in there. I mean, you're at 3,000. That's a serious difference.
absolutely.
Like it's $7,000 in your pocket. That's your money for perfectly good job, and you got the sale over the line. You managed expectations. So for that level of things, and that's really the Dublin market is sort of, a lot of sales are in the 300 to 500 grand mark, and that's probably the sales that you guys like as well. I mean, when it goes up over that, you're not doubling figures or tripling them. I sort of see down in my notes here, you've 3,995 from 500,000 to 700,000. You've only increased it like €1,000 to get up at that really, really high level of 700.
Yeah. I mean, when it breaks down, the fee at the upper end is only ever about 0.8% of what you achieve when you get to that level. So it's always lower than any estate agents that are out there. The way we operate it is, earlier, boxing smart is kind of the mantra. You streamline processes so as we are able to do our job, so as we can get out and meet people and sell the properties and keep it moving. Momentum is key in sales. So, that's why we're able to do the volumes as well that we do too. In a market where there's so much demand out there, from a vendor's point of view, you're always going to achieve a good price, top price. And the people are doing whatever they can most to secure property purchase. So, there's works very well. Prices have gone up and up and up. Agents' fees have stayed in and around the same percentage. So they're technically just getting paid stuff.
So again, I highly recommend you jump over to the Auctioneera website, where you can actually go in, meet the team. I have the team here in front of me. Also, you can price compare. There's a good calculator on the website for what you do. So jump over to the Auctioneera website. Again, I met Eddie, great man.
Yeah,
great guy. There's Rob, the next top man in there. Fiona, which is obviously down in Cork.
Yeah, and that's ruling the roost.
Fair play. Lee, which I've met. He's a Talaborn man. Brendan's out Blanche direction. So he's looking after our offices out that way. You've Katrina, and then you've Harry. I've never met Harry.
No, he's and keeps that website running. He does all the background stuff.
All the brains.
But, Catherine, who you passed by, that was
you were
talking to.
Oh yeah. And then I see a lot of stuff done on radio as well, where you're getting your brand out there and you're getting your business.
Yeah, that's the whole aim of the game.
Rob, listen, it's been great. I love I love asking agents to come in, because for what it does as well. And just before we do finish up, someone asked me today, for people that come through my training, what is the best way that maybe someone going to approach to buy a house tomorrow, from your eyes, can get the attention of an agent without pissing them off? But like, if you had a couple of small tips, I'm always telling the guys to get out and try and meet the agents and try and build a relationship. Not always going to be the first deal. It might be 4 deals down the line that you pick someone's brain. But for a young investor, say, getting out to you, or maybe for that young couple going to buy their first home, what would be your best tips to give? 3 best tips to give them people to approach you guys?
Yeah, I mean, from a first-time buyer's perspective, get out and get to as many viewings as you can, meet agents, talk to them, find out their, the situation behind the vendor, reasons for selling if you can. Go in with the idea that, what you're willing to pay for something. You are, as I say, it's a competitive market. You have to stand out as a buyer. Sometimes it can be counterproductive for you as the buyer to try and negotiate in a market where everybody's throwing the kitchen sink at it. So know what your levels are, and go direct, to the agents. Say, look, this is where I'm at. Is it realistic? And they'll be able to give you, a bit of a steer on that. It's a good approach. But the others, again, when you're making your offers, make good offers, make strong offers, to put yourself, as I say, ahead of everybody else who's trying to hold back and play the game a little bit.
Would you recommend now, if if we were looking at that house for 395 today and me and Tara really wanted it and they're best put forward, because everyone knows that you're going to bring the price down a little bit. Obviously, that's just basic sales for, and that's not like it can't, everyone's going to do it. You're selling your own car, you know, and there's 10 people coming. The first thing you say is, the guy just before he offered me an extra 1,000. Oh, fuck it, I'll give you the extra 1,000. Would you tell that young couple, or would you tell that person that really wants the phone, just to, if your budget is 385, just pop it onto the platform and be done. And if you're successful, you're successful. Don't fuck around waiting on bids to come in at 9. You just put your best forward and step back then. That'd be a good strategy, or would it be a strategy just to wait? And
there's no book on it, but that would be my kind of approach to it. I've helped people buy houses as well, and it's been kind of conversations with them around, look, what are you willing to go to on this? And go in then to the agent, say, look, this is my levels and this is what I'm at. And put your best foot forward with our system, because, you know, the online process and the transparency of it, you can see what other people's offers are and their best foot forward approach is. I'd say offer early is important. It means that your vendor is, you know, you're on the board early. You always kind of wait till the last few moments, only up it by a couple of $100 or $1,000 and like that. You know, it sort of drags things out a little bit, and can, you know, you, as I say, when you're a vendor, you wear your purchaser's hat. When you're a purchaser, you wear your vendor's hat.
We say that in the world of investing.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
Step out of them shoes and go into the. If you're an investor, if you're approaching money to try and raise private finance, take your shoes off and get into his shoes.
Yeah, so for sure. And that's it. You know, it's kind of the same thing. If you were the guy who's trying to accept offers, and the girls, you know, you have to. The one making the offers has to be impressive.
Look, you have really, really done Auctioneera proud today. I know you're in charge hands there now. You're going to take this company up to the next level. I know we were talking back in the room. I think great things to come out of you. Great things to come out of Auctioneera for the world of property sales. You're definitely changing the systems up in there. Any last final thoughts? Anything we didn't cover? I could talk for the next 2 hours.
No, I'm still going. I mean, the market in general is competitive, as I said. So yeah, from your buyer's point of view, get out and get in front of everything. From our point of view, and from vendors, you know, you won't get a better service for the fee.
You can say that again.
And it's transparent. It brings a whole new dynamic and dimension to a market that's cloak and dagger traditionally. And it means, you know, our purchasers, even some successful ones, we've literally hundreds of 5-star reviews. You can go on the website, you can have a flick through them. Might take you a bit of time to get through them all, but that's a good thing. And it just means, you know, a lot of, as I say, even unsuccessful bidders enjoy the process. Not enjoy, that's not the right word when you miss out, but
if they go to a different setup, it's going to be a lot more misty.
Yeah, for sure. That's it.
And I think that's where confusion does kick in.
Yeah.
Market, if someone wants to put an inquiry into you in the morning, or maybe just reach out to Auctioneera, and it could be, I know with sales, with property, someone could be just thinking about it and say, thinking about this today, I'm going to sell my house in Cork. I think it's going to be in a month or two. Is that like, how
absolutely,
does the inquiries work?
Reach out to us. You can go on our website. You'll be able to book in free valuations via the website. We also have chat option. We're open Monday to Saturday. You know, you can log in anytime, leave a message for us. We'll get back to you, as I said, straight away. Catherine's loves the phone, and we'll get back on to you. We'll set up a free valuation. We send you the MR beforehand, and we'll go through everything with you. It's a no obligation valuation. So it means that, you know, we can come out, we can go through everything, have a chat, go through the whole system, how it all works. And if you're happy, whenever you want to come live, you can. And you can run the whole process, get sale agreed, get great offers, and then decide you're moving to Portugal and renting it out, walk away, and it won't cost you a cent.
Yeah. Rob, Auctioneera, thanks a million for dropping into me today. Thanks for clearing the air. People in my group have asked me to get you in.
No problem. Pleasure. Thank you very much. It's been great.
And we might get a market update off you. I'm going to try and push you for a market update every quarter if I can.
Yeah, by all means, for sure. And, you know, keep an eye on it. We get a lot of people who even just watch the websites to as you see with the property there, it's closing out tomorrow evening. We've done most evenings. They close out. People watch the bids come in and it goes up and up and up.
Lovely.
Be a bit of crack.
Yeah. If they watch that and they're thinking about selling, they might make them a bit more comfortable.
Sure.
Fantastic.
Super.
Folks, for this time around, thanks a million for tuning in. I hope you got plenty of nuggets out of it. I hope now you understand the process of a sale, and reach out to Auctioneera if you're thinking about selling your property. And for any reason that they can't sell it, we'll buy it off you. only
Fair play, all right.
What a great episode, and we will chat to you all very soon.
And a brief thank you to today's sponsors of our podcast, Platinum Property Training and Platinum Ventures. Thank you very much for listening in.